Oh man, I think like I'm gonna take some heat. I think I'm gonna pick some like dude movie. I mean, I'm in on Heat.
Yes.
I'm taking Heat immediately. I think this is like, first of all, like the action scenes in this are like so realistic. It's awesome. I'm also like low key, and you'll probably see from my picks, a huge Val Kilmer fan. My immediate thought on the three, and I wasn't even thinking of Heat, but my other two were going to be Tombstone and Top Gun. Do I do a Kilmer trifecta is the question. Oh, yeah. And you have two copies, too. I mean, structurally, Top Gun is a perfect movie. If you follow, like, I'm a huge, like, Hero's Journey, Save the Cat guy. Yeah. You can go beat for beat with anybody with Top Gun, and it follows it to a T. Mm-hmm. Also Val Kilmer. And then, boom. So I'm on an island with Val Kilmer, and I think I'm going to be really happy. Tombstone, I mean, character-wise, so Doc Holliday, come on. He can't beat it. How's it going, everybody? Tommy Dwyer here, actor, director, writer, all-around filmmaker. These are my desert picks. I got the Val Kilmer trifecta, Tombstone, Top Gun, and Heat. And you are watching the Film Stock Podcast.
Desert Island picks. I generally like to ask my guests, you know, your hero's journey moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that was the start of my hero's journey. Like that movie opened up my that literally made me want to either be a Navy fighter pilot, which I had no choice because I was like good D's in school, or be a filmmaker, which I definitely could because I got D's in school.
Exactly.
So like,
yeah.
So I think that like that I don't know if that's like my hero moment, but that definitely started my journey of like loving movies and like using film as a way to like sort of slow down my mind and like put myself in a different place and like become like a creative person. You know what I mean? Like I fully embraced, you saw me, I used to walk around and tell people to call me Maverick. Like I fully embraced like fully putting yourself into like your artwork at like a young age, not even knowing that that's like what I was doing, you know?
Yeah. So how did that kind of evolve as the time went on? Like, were you ever in theater? Did you ever do?
Yeah, it's weird. Like
acting classes when you were younger?
Yeah. So I was in theater in like grammar school. I was in a couple plays and stuff, but I was always an athlete. So like I played football from like when I was 8 all the way through college.
Yeah.
Kickbox, played lacrosse. Like, so acting kind of took a back seat, but like I've always been like a creative person. I've done stand-up comedy for a long time. But like as I was kind of like progressing, I always wrote. Like I wrote all the time. I'd get in trouble, not paying attention in math class because I was writing a story or like, and typically it was like at that age was a lot of like war stuff. Like I was always like very into like World War II, Vietnam, like that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, war is such a good fertile ground for like stories.
Yeah. And so my grandfather, on my dad's side was a tail gunner in a dive bomber in World War II.
Get out.
And so he died when I was in 2nd grade. But before that, I used to like just sit with him and like talk to him about like stories and like airplanes and like, which is where I think like the Top Gun kind of intersected. But like I always had a love for like airplanes and like flight and aviation and that sort of thing. So yeah, I think like writing is more my hero's journey. It manifests in different ways, but I've always just, and it's not something that I wanted to do, but I have ADHD and like I always like just thought differently than the herd of people. So yeah, I don't think any part of my journey has been anything that like I've purposely constructed.
Like tried to curate.
Yeah,
just kind of you're following your interests.
Yeah, I'm just like following intuition and interests and like just trying to like, I think my journey more is like less than filmmaking is like trying to find who I am, right? And like manifest that as much as I can through art. Yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier that you've been acting for quite some time in like local, feature films and whatnot.
Yeah.
How's that been?
It's cool, man. So I joined the Screen Actors Guild in 2006. I had like small roles in 21, The Fighter. I was a boxer because I was one of the only SAG guys that knew how to box. So I was a boxer in The Fighter. I was in The Social Network, The Finest Hours.
Yep. We might have crossed paths on The Finest Hours.
Were you on The Finest Hours?
Yeah. So that was in my early days when I was just a production assistant.
Oh, cool.
And I remember being on The Finest Hours, wherever the fuck it filmed. It was in some like old warehouse when they were doing the Pendleton stuff. And then I was out there on the Cape for like, the lighthouse stuff.
Yeah.
But my job was to sit in the corner, puddles, around me, freezing weather. And I rang the bell that alerted the studio that we were rolling.
I
And then I
got
would
you.
ring it twice when we cut.
Cut, yeah,
So
yeah.
everybody could go back to work. That was my contribution to that movie.
Okay, well, mine, I was, I think we were in like, what's it, like Quincy or something like that, and somewhere in that area, and I had like I was a day player, so but it's cool. Had my own trailer and stuff like that. It's kind of
Yeah,
fun. But I had like an Elmer Fudd hat on, you know, and we were in like a Masonic hall. And
I was there that night.
Oh, you were?
It was the whole dance scene with Chris Pine and his lover, and they kind of like have a whole scene that goes outside.
Yeah, and we were listening to a radio.
Yep.
Right. Yeah, and we're talking about how they're essentially the scene is like we're talking about how they're never going to make it back. You know what I mean? Yeah, that was my contribution. I say we'll never get back without a compass.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's fun.
It was cool. Yeah.
So then, okay, so you're doing all this acting stuff, but obviously you're taking your writing and you're trying to make your own projects.
Yeah,
well, you
so
have made your own projects, not trying.
A strange path, right? I I was acting in just acting and doing stand-up comedy for a long time. And then I was in this show in Boston's Theater District called Fishnet, and I played a tech sales guy in an audience interactive improv show. And we do 3 shows a week. We do a show Friday, 2 shows Saturday at Nick's Comedy Stop, right?
Okay.
Years ago, 15 years ago. And one day this dude was in the crowd and he's like, "Hey, he's like, you'd be a great tech sales guy." And I was like, "Dude, I'm an actor. Like, I have no idea what you're talking about." And he kept kind of approaching me like week after week. He's like, I would love for you to be a tech sales guy. You'd be a great tech sales guy. And,
was that like code for something? Or
no, it was real. And turns out he was like a global VP of sales at this huge tech company. And so one day, like I took the job and I became a tech sales guy. I was like Zelensky, only like for tech sales and not like presidency.
Sure.
And so I became a tech sales guy. And then I kind of like I started like losing myself in like my creative side. And so after doing that for a long time, I started getting back to like, I got to get back to like, doing what I want. That's when I
Writing,
decided to really
stand-up,
take it into my
acting.
own hands a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Get back into the writing aspect of it. Yeah.
Can you talk more about that if you don't mind?
Yeah, for sure.
I'm curious because right now, the industry is still in kind of a place of funk.
Yeah.
It has been for, 2 years or
Yeah.
so. And myself included, with a bunch of coworkers that I know, it's just been like you find yourself in this weird spot where you're not practicing your creativity. Like,
Yeah.
what was that like? You seem to have gone through it a little bit before, but you found your way out of it. Did you feel like a fire underneath your ass where you're like,
It's funny,
no, it's
man.
time?
It's like, with COVID and everything, when that kind of happened and you were kind of like shut in for a while, I went to sort of like a very dark place, right? And through sort of like therapy, I had a great therapist that I still work with, but I actually did like a lot of clinical hypnosis, right?
What is that?
Dude, it's wild.
Okay.
Yeah, wild. Like I was in there and I was like, the first time I did it, I was like, this is bullshit, right? I was like, there's no way. And so like the guy, we get to know each other and stuff, and he's like, all right, like we'll get started. You know what I mean? So he's like, yeah, because like, have you been hypnotized?
No.
Okay, so like I pictured, correct me if I'm wrong. I always pictured like you're out and like you have no idea what's happening, and then you wake up and you're like, well, what the hell just happened, right?
Yeah.
You know what's happening the whole time, which is weird, right? So he's like, close your eyes and like, let's get started. And the whole time, like, this is so dumb. And I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, all right. So I'm sitting there like this, right? And he's like, okay. He starts doing his thing. You're relaxed and calm and you're hearing the sound of my voice, whatever. And in my head, I'm like, dude, what am I doing here? I'm like, this is so dumb. And then he's like, okay, like, one of your hands is like light, like very light. Like I've tied 10,000 balloons to it. And I'm going, no, it's not. Then he goes, which hand is it? And I go, fuck, it's my right hand. And like in my own mind, right? He's like, yeah, it's your right hand. And all of a sudden my hand starts flying up. Like I feel my hand and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like in my own head, I'm like, how's this happening? And then he's like, I put a bucket of sand in and my hand just like crashes back down. I'm like, what the fuck? And so I think that was him just testing, if I'm adept enough. But being a creative person that's always fully put myself into stuff that I do, I was like super adept at hypnosis. Like, dude, like I get hypnotized by like a can if I wanted to,
because
right?
you can find yourself into these other worlds.
Yeah, dude,
you
because
can
like
find
I'm the
yourself
type
in
like
these other situations.
yeah, and I think like I was using it. I was letting it use me. Like so, there was a long time where I was letting it control me. I was letting fear control me. I was letting like I'm the type of dude that like can read an obituary and then I'm afraid that I'm gonna die of the same way that person did because I'm so in tune with I'm like, oh my God, what did their family think? And is everything okay? And like, I wish I could reach out. Like, I get very in tune with whatever I'm doing, right? Which I think in a way for filmmaking and acting and writing is powerful, right? But like in everyday life, it's very hard. Like when you watch a horror movie and you're like, oh shit, like is there someone outside my window? Like I get very like, what is it, like overly empathetic perhaps? Like I really feel for whatever's happening. Like I remember growing up, I used to be like, I'd feel bad for inanimate objects. I'd be like, oh, I haven't watched like this movie in a while. I guess I'll just watch it because it's sitting there.
Because it needs attention.
Yeah,
Yeah, it needs a little bit of love.
So I'm very adept at hypnosis. This dude was like hypnotizing the shit out of me, right? Like I was like whatever. But through that, I've started to like find my sort of self and like realize that I did have a fire lit under my ass. Like after these like hypnosis sessions for like going through them, I realized like, dude, no one's gonna fucking save you. No one, like, and I had made a lot of connections.
Powerful,
yeah,
and
dude,
hard
and true,
wisdom,
right? Like you're saying, like you have a
through.
lot of friends that aren't being creative or that aren't doing it. It's like fucking create. Like if you want to be creative, create. Right? The only one stopping you is you, right? And no one's coming to save you, bro. No one's coming to help you. Like you can find people along your journey that like will work with you and will bring you up and like help raise you up. But dude, I remember when I was in tech sales and like sitting in my cubicle going like, man, like, you know, I had some success in acting and I knew a lot of people. I knew writers and producers and directors, right? And I was like, I remember sitting there being like, man, I hope this dude calls me. Or like, oh man, maybe I'd get an email like, oh, maybe that's this like producer, like, you know, writing me for a part. And then all of a sudden I was like, dude, no one's going to fucking do that. No one's looking for me. No one knows I'm lost. No one's here to find me or help me. I better start making shit. And now that I am, guess who's circling back? All the people that I was wishing would call me when I was sitting at the cubicle, you know, banging the phone, selling stuff, going like, oh, maybe someone will think of me. Dude, no one's thinking of you unless you're doing it. No one's going like, man, I wonder what Tom's up to today. I should call him and put him in a movie. Just not happening. And so, yeah, that was the fire. The fire was like, dude, I'm lost. It was like you know, the desert island thing, right? It's like, yo, I'm stuck on this island hoping a plane flies over. And then I'm like, dude, no one knows I'm here.
I better
start building a fucking fire or making a raft or getting myself off this thing.
Boiling water.
Yeah, dude. Instead of just hoping that something happens, you know?
Yeah, I do. I have a really good friend. Him and I used to say this to each other all the time when we were young. And this was our kind of way to motivate ourselves and whatnot and kind of fall in love with what we were doing.
Yeah.
But we used to say, do what you love and people will notice.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Yeah.
Exactly. And like, but I think like the big part of that is like you have to do it.
You have to do it.
Yeah, like so many people like reach out and I was one of them. I am guilty of it myself, right? So many people like reach out and they're like, yo, I got this idea. Can you do it? And it's like, well,
ooh, that's a tough position to be in. I've been in that.
Yeah, and it's like I can't make your thing happen. Like, what have you done? Like, it happens to me a ton with or happened to me a ton with stand-up. Be like,
what do you mean?
People be like, oh, I want to be a comedian. Can you help me?
No.
And I'd be like, well, sure. Like, do you, you know, come to this open mic? And then they don't go. Or it's like, okay. It's like, well, do you have any material? No. But like, I have some ideas. It's like, well, start getting material. Like, I can't do it for you. Same with filmmaking. Like, oh, I got this like really good idea for a movie. Can you like help me make it? It's like, well, no. Like, hey, what have you done so far? Like, I'm happy to be a part of your journey, but I can't be your journey. You know what I mean?
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, man. Just because of the nature of filmmaking, like it's so time consuming.
Yeah.
It takes so much
it's
effort.
draining.
It takes so much money.
Yeah.
Like if you come to me and you're like, oh, I have this thing, will you make it? It's like, I need to know that you're as passionate about it. I need to know that you're more passionate about it than I am.
100% what I mean.
Kind of feed off that energy.
And you know, because you've been in the industry a long time, right? You know, as well as anyone that's actually in this industry, unless you love it, just watch movies. Like enjoy movies. Tell your friends you really like watching movies. Because it's not easy and it's exhausting and it's brutal. And like, dude, I'm up like, that's the thing is like, how bad do you want to do it? I'm up all night some nights, like writing and planning and strategizing and making phone calls and getting stuff to happen. It's like, unless you're willing to do that, just watch movies and enjoy them, or like come to the premiere and we can hang out and like, I'll bring you on set for a day, like stuff like that. But like, you know, unless you're willing to like dude, you got to like be willing to like die and be reborn again to do this stuff. Just, don't
Just
do
watch.
it. Yeah, just watch the movies. Yeah, look at all the great movies you can watch. These are all, any single one of these, whether you think it's like horrible or great, was the amount of effort that went into it is like astronomical to have even happen.
We had Joe Picozzi on recently. He's a writer and director, and he kind of caught me off guard. I was like, I forget if I asked him or if he asked me, but he was like, "Well, would you recommend getting into the film industry?"
Yeah, that's right.
And I was caught off guard. I was like, "Well, I guess when you put it that way, like, no, like not unless everything you said, like unless you're ready to bleed, sweat
for
blood."
Sure. And to me, it's like that sort of goes for like anything you want to do, right? Whether it's filmmaking or getting into shape or owning a small business, it's like unless you're willing to go all in on it, like find what you're passionate about and go all in on it.
Mm-hmm.
And like other people will be happy to be along with you on that journey, but people can't tell you what that is. Like I feel like a lot of people want to do this and they don't even know what it really is, like what it entails. Do you know what I mean? To make happen. It's like me saying like, oh, I want to own a restaurant because I like to eat food. It's like that it doesn't make sense. You see it all the time on those like Restaurant Impossible type shows and stuff. They're like, do you have any experience? Like, well, no, I was like an accountant, but I really like food. It's like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, people are like, I like movies, so like I want to write one, and then they give you like a script that's like written in crayon on like a piece of paper. It's like, dude, what is this? They're like, that's my script. I'm like, no, it's not.
It's not formatted correctly.
Like you put zero effort into it. You just like wrote a thing and told me it's a movie. It's not.
Now, did you you had mentioned earlier, Save the Cat. Did you take any formal script writing classes?
I did. I got a funny story for you, actually.
Yeah, love funny stories. Lay it on me.
I took a script writing class in college and failed.
Okay. Why'd you fail?
Because I'm an ass. The only time I've ever like failed classes is 100% my fault. So the two classes I failed in college were public speaking and script writing.
That's
the two
wild.
things that I'm like the best at.
I was just about to say you're very articulate.
So public speaking,
you've written a lot.
Yeah, public speaking. Yeah, I know. I like am doing this as a living, but like public speaking, I failed in college because he wanted us to make a journal. And he wanted us to have it have clippings and like drawings as we were doing our things. And so I didn't do it the first half. And he's like, well, you didn't do your journal. I said, well, it's not fucking art class, is it? I was like, it's public speaking. And I publicly am speaking very well. He's like, well, this is like a part of the class, blah, blah, blah. I said, so on the final, he said, I want you to give me your journal and tell me why it's better than your journal was the first time I looked at it. And so I put one page in my journal and I just wrote, it's not any better. Fail me again. And he did.
Did he? Wow.
He did. So I got to call him. I got to give him credit on that. But please, like, make public speaking about public speaking. Don't make it about fucking artwork. Like,
I also feel like there's a case for you to pass the class because if you didn't give him a journal the first half and you gave him that one page.
That is better. That is better than the last time. And then script writing, I failed. Because I thought the professor was a little bit arrogant, to be honest with you. It was an online class, and he wanted the class to not only like write a script, which I did, and I think I did well, but he kind of like stepped back and didn't really do anything. So he wanted us to write it, and then in a public forum, critique each other's scripts, and then make edits based on the critiques of the other people in the class. And so my argument to him was, none of us know what the fuck we're doing. Why is my critique valid at all to you? Why do you care what my opinion is? I'm not the expert. The teacher should be telling me the critiques, not another guy that also doesn't know what he's doing. So I didn't critique anybody, and I didn't listen to anybody's critiques. And so I just took my own critiques and he failed me. And then I took it again and still didn't critique, but he passed me again because he's like, well, your script is like good. So he's like, but he's
what
like,
was the script?
So the first thing I wrote was like
was this the first script you had ever written?
Yeah, it was the first movie script. I had written tried to write like plays and stuff like that before. But it was an iteration on like a play idea that I wrote about this was when I was like 20, so I thought it was very like avant-garde, but it's really been done, But it was about like a dude that murdered somebody and then went to church and confessed to the priest, and then was kind of caught in a bind with the priest of like, you can't fucking tell anybody, right? Because you're a priest. And like, then the priest was in this moral dilemma of like, well, he's telling me that he's like murdered people. He's like a hitman,
Yeah.
It's like a hitman confessional type thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I thought it was like a cool thing,
Did you ever do anything with it?
No. I don't even know what happened. Cause like it was on like some old computer. Like I don't even know really I don't remember even where I went with it, but I know that was the premise of it, you know?
Sure.
Yeah.
Plays are fun.
Yeah, it was cool.
I know that you were just describing a screenplay, but
Yeah.
I'm thinking
Well, it was
about the
based off
idea
of a
of
thing that I wrote as like a two-man play, you
Mhm.
know, on stage. Yeah.
Yeah, plays are fun. I think often about both Sam Shepard and Paul Thomas Anderson
Yeah.
because I've listened to and read a bunch of interviews with them, and they always kind of took the method of like just take two people and get them in conversation.
Yeah, and so that's like what I do. I mean, you've seen a few of my films now, like
Hmm.
especially with short films. Um, I try to boil it down to like how can I tell this story? You know, by the way, if you're out there trying to make a short film, right? Don't open it in a fucking airplane. Try and make like two people, make it as boiled down as possible. If you can tell a story, and I think that this is a good way to uh, prove yourself as a writer or as a filmmaker, is get rid of all of the stuff that's in these movies, right?
Mm.
Get rid of all the Michael Bay, the like I'm gonna blow up cars and like because that's fun and that's like flashy. I want to see if you can write a script with two people sitting across the table from each other
And
and
make it
keep me
interesting.
interested.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's kind of like what I did with The Hit, which is like I want to see if I can film a movie that's like primarily just two guys at a table.
Yep.
And whatever happens, you know, outside of that is minimal. The crux of that movie is
A
just
lot
like
happens in that movie,
for
though.
sure. Yeah, in a short time.
You're
Yeah,
talking right now
yeah,
about just having two people in
yeah,
dialogue at
for
a table,
sure.
but then you're introducing
A lot of other stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that all
Um,
come about? When was that, like, you know, in the trajectory of your career?
So that was
Like,
2 years ago.
that was 2 years ago.
And it
Okay.
won Best Short at Boston International Film Festival's audience award of something excellence for
Cool,
short
man.
film at Boston International
Congratulations.
Film
That's
Festival. Yeah,
awesome.
so I was pretty happy about that. I was also super surprised. Like I didn't write that with any intentions of like you know doing that, but it was really cool that it did
Sure.
happen. Um, but you know, so I had written that. This is a funny thing too. I wrote that as a comedy at first because like my initial concept was like, man, wouldn't this be funny? Like a movie about a hitman that like kills the wrong person, and then
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
like bumbling through what to do with like the dead body. I just thought that was a funny idea.
Sure.
And I gave it to
It's a good play on the genre, you know?
yeah, that's what I mean. It's like it's kind of like spinning the thing on its head, you know.
Mhm.
And but I gave it to couple people to read that I trust, and this dude Jesus Paez who does everything with me, super talented guy.
Mhm.
Read it and he was like, dude, he's like, I think this is like, he's like, lean into like the darkness of it. He's like, this could be super dark. I was like, oh, you know, maybe I will. So I kind of like took it through a different lens and like reworked it as as like a darker dramatic thing about like a guy really trying to mentor a younger kid that like this is not your thing. Like, dude, get away. This isn't your life, you
Mhm.
know? And I think it turned out good.
Yeah, man. We just rewatched it
Oh,
before you
cool.
got
Oh,
here.
cool.
And I was saying to Shawn how I don't know if this was intentional or not, but I was saying
was,
how
it was.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
No, I was saying how like there's an Uncut Gems, there's a Safdie Brothers thing going on
Yeah, for
there,
sure.
where it's like high intensity, and even some of the cinematography, like, you know, the way it kind of
Moves around. Yeah.
and kind of sticks with these characters. Yeah, it was
No,
fun.
that actually was intentional. Like we wanted to have that like sort of tone of like heaviness to the
Mm.
movie, like you get in Uncut Gems, right? Where like the whole thing is just not
It's
comfortable.
anxiety
Yeah.
inducing.
Yeah, and then I tried to take that to the next level with Solus, with like the camera angles and like the sort of pacing, like intentionally.
Solus being your next
Yeah,
short film?
yeah.
Or did you have any between them?
So I co-directed a short film called Madigan's Again.
Okay.
In between the two, which was a drama with this girl Kristen Colas, who's a filmmaker out of Central Mass. Also, she saw the Hollywoot project that I did, and then she reached out to me to help her make her movie happen. But she actually had like a script in place and like an idea and like finances and like so I was like, okay, like that's something you can work with. Like,
Yeah. Are you formally trained like in filmmaking or self-taught?
so I went to school. I went to school for communications and like television film production.
Okay.
But after that, it was a lot of just like learning. I think it's like I was a stagehand for 15 years, like learning production from like every aspect that you can. And then relying on like your own intuition, right? Like
Hell yeah, yeah.
I
No,
think
I
that's
know
a big
exactly
part
what you're
of
talking
it.
about.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it. So yeah, training takes you so far. You can only you only learn how to swim when you get thrown in the water, though. You know, you can read, you can
True.
you know, you can take as many classes about it or read about as much as you want, but when your ship goes down and it's icebergy out there, you fucking better learn how to swim.
Titanic
Yeah,
reference.
that's a
Thank you for
Titanic. Yeah,
that.
I got you.
So going back to the hit though, like
Yeah.
what was the production process? And I guess I'm asking that because most recently you did Solus, which I
Yeah.
do want to talk about in more in depth.
Sure, yeah.
But was the process of, you know, the hit, did that have any, was that mirrored towards Solus in regards to like the quick turnaround with the script, quick turnaround with production?
Yeah, I think like
Or did you have more time with that one?
No, we really didn't, and I think that's a double-edged sword of my brain, right? Like I just get an idea and I'm like, let's run at it full speed, make it happen.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times people are like, dude, what are you doing? And I'm just like, let's go. You know what I mean? I think moving forward, you know, John Keogh, who,
Yep.
man, what a great dude, right?
I love John.
John's helped me.
We just had him on the podcast as we.
Oh, what a guy! Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Yeah, John has helped wrangle my kind of like crazy brain. Like I'm someone that like
he caught fire.
Yeah, like I don't belong in like I don't belong in everyday life. You know what I mean? Like I don't know how to like, you know, I don't know how to like pump gas almost. You know what I mean? Like I'm lucky I got here. Like that's how it is. John's like he's like, dude, like you know, he kind of like caught me in a bottle and he's like, let me just make sure you're safe. You know what I mean? And John's like, we should have more pre-production and like really work towards more. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you know what? That's a good idea.
I like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I think we're working really well together in that aspect. But yeah, the hit, not much more time. We you know, I write really in an iterative fashion, and really quick. So I'll get an idea, and like I said, I'll stay up, like, dude, and I'll just keep writing and writing until the idea is gone. Because if I stop, I lose the idea. So like if I'm like, I got this idea of like 2 hitmen, they kill the wrong person, sit down and let me rip it, and I just like rip it, right? And I get something on paper, like the idea, and say it's 30 pages, right? Then I'll send it to some trusted people, be like, what do you guys think of this idea? Just in general. They're like, oh, great idea. Here are a bunch of edits. And if, you know, I send it to 5 people, all 5 of them tell me like the same thing. I go, okay, that's going to work. And then so then I cut it down and I cut it down. So I do like, you know, they hit 1.0, 1.2, 1.3, they hit 2.0, 2.0, 2.3. And I kind of go through it that way until I get a script that I like. I think, again, gift and a curse, like with me on the production side, like when I'm directing, I also change shit when I'm there. Like I'm like, dude, this is working great. Let's lean more into this. Or like, hey man, this scene's feeling a little long. Let's chop these lines and just run it this way. And just make like an executive decision on like the gut from watching the screen and watching the monitors on playback and just how I feel in the scene. Like to me, it's so important when you're in that room, whether you're in the director's chair, whether you're acting, to really feel it. And if you're not feeling it, then like, what are we doing? How can we make it better?
100%.
You know what I mean?
It's got to be a living thing.
Yeah. And you got to be you know, I tell this to people that ask me about writing stuff all the time. You can't be committed to something like it's in concrete. Like you have to be willing to accept that maybe this isn't the best way it is. Maybe there is a better way. Maybe, you know, we're reading this and it doesn't sound right. Like that's okay.
Did you do a table read before you guys ended up in production?
So we've done table reads for a couple things. We didn't have time to do a table read for Solus because it was so fast.
Yeah.
So I put people.
That would have been a weird one to table read too.
For sure. Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of all over the place. I mean that in the best way.
Yeah, well, it's like
but
theater
it's
of the
like a
mind,
very
right? Yeah, it's
there
theater
you
of the
go.
mind. And like intentionally so. But what I did with Solus is I just put people, I took people that I knew could deliver what I wanted and that I really trusted and put them in the positions that I knew they would do really well in, both from a production aspect and an acting aspect. Like I've acted with Jordan a couple times now. I've acted across from Devin a few times now, the two like lead women, and then James and Louise. You got to get James in here too. He's a director himself, but like
James was also in the hit. I know
James was in the hit too.
Yeah,
so like he's someone that like I know I can give James a part and he will hit. Like he will have it. Like I don't have to worry about James delivering. You know what I mean?
I do. Real quick, back up though. For anybody that's listening and might not know you, what is Solus? Like give us the log line, give us the idea.
Sure. Yeah, so Solus is a psychological thriller that, you know, a guy opens a guy in his therapist's office and it's sort of like he's explaining that he's having this recurring nightmare about someone breaking into his house and his girlfriend's not listening to him. And then it kind of divulges into like, you know, is that actually what's happening? Or is there maybe more to the story? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Sort of like I would say it's almost like a Shutter Island-esque
Hey, there
type
you
of
go.
play. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
know exactly what you mean. And
Yeah.
now that you say that, I can see
Yeah. To like
ah,
liken it to something that people may
yeah,
know, that's where I would go with that, you
that's
know?
good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
And you wrote it in a very short burst.
I
And
did.
other other than this maybe just being the way you work,
Yeah.
what was the reason for the quick turnaround?
Well, I
Because
mean, yeah,
you filmed it quickly and edited it quickly.
this was purposeful. So there was the Dead of Winter Film Festival. It happened up in Worcester. I think it was last month now. And
February, yeah.
yeah, in February. And I went to it last year. And then I started seeing them, advertise for it again. And I went, why don't I have a film? I'm from Worcester. Like, why do I not have a film in a Worcester Film Festival? I had never written sort of a horror type movie. So I was like, I called John, like, yo, I want to do this. I want to get in Dead of Winter. He's like,
Mhm.
well, like, what do you have? I was like, nothing yet, but I'll get you something like by the end of the week. He's like, all right, dude. And so I started going like kicking ideas around in my head of like, what's a different type of horror movie? You get the like the bloody horror movies, you have the ghost stuff. I was like, I want to do like a theater of the mind type horror movie where like you never really see anything, but it's always inferred.
Mm.
And my favorite, like, and it's weird because I don't know if you classify it as horror, but I do. My favorite horror movie of all time is Jaws, right? And in Jaws,
It's a horror movie.
yeah, like I don't know if
I
it's
would
like
say it's
horror
a horror
thriller,
movie.
like what you call it, right?
Let me put it this way. I
Yeah.
think when it came out, it was a horror
It was like a
movie.
terrifying
It
horror
was a
movie. Yeah, yeah,
terrifying
yeah, yeah.
experience. I think now I would just call it an epic.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's a defining
For sure.
movie.
And for me, the defining part of it is the cinematography is super cool. Like one of my favorite shots in film of all time is in Jaws, which is when Sheriff Brady's like chumming the water and he turns around for a second. Then that's the first time you see the shark,
Mm.
and that's like a whoa when they kind of like pull focus in there and like you get in on that shark.
And I love how it comes out in silence.
Dude, it's
like
so
there's no note.
It's so good, right?
Yeah.
They also have that shot of him sitting on the beach when they pull into him too, and
Yep.
that's like just an epic shot too. It's like I love that from like a cinematography perspective. But when I was going down on Solus, is like my favorite part of that movie is you don't see the shark for like the first 50 minutes of the movie,
Mm-hmm.
but you're scared shitless of it.
Mm.
And so I was like, how do you do something like I feel like now so many movies are so heavy-handed and like so in your face with what they're trying to tell you. And
Like as if there's a message.
no, as if the audience can't use their own mind to picture something. Like horror movie, like a lot of horror movies now, it's like, oh, it's this like terrifying monster thing. It's like, let's play on like go back to like the days of like Blair Witch, where like you never see the thing,
Mhm.
right? I want to let the audience, I'm giving them the credit that they can scare themselves with what I'm putting out there without me making it scary.
They can make the connection.
Yeah,
and it's almost like what they don't see.
It is
conjures
scarier,
up
right?
something.
Yeah, because to me, fear is the unknown.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I'm afraid
scares
of.
you.
I'm afraid of not knowing shit. Like if I see the monster, I'm like, yeah, I could fucking take this guy out, right? Or like whatever. Like I think there's a chance, right? If
Yeah,
you don't know
yeah.
what's coming after you, it's like, yo, there's no chance. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
And so to me, the fear is the unknown. And like I wanted to play on that on Solus at least. Even kind of in the hit, a lot of the angst that you're playing on is that there's someone else coming. You
Mhm.
don't know who it is until James comes in, right? It's like, but it's that looming, like, we got to get out. This dude's coming. He's
Mhm.
coming. And you don't want to meet him. And it's like, then it's like 10 minutes till you meet him. You know what I mean? In a 15-minute movie. So, I don't know. I'm just focusing on trying to be subtle and try to use the camera and the angles, like with Stevie Schloss, man. Like, I know you had Stevie on here too.
Yeah,
Dude,
Steve's a friend of the podcast, and
Yeah.
he actually was director of photography on one of my shorts.
Oh, great. Dude.
And I helped produce Writer's Block. So
Writer Block's so good.
We've worked together quite a bit. It's been a while since I've seen him though.
What a guy, right?
He
Yeah, bulldog. We both have bulldogs. You know what I mean? They're like,
he's got I can always tell when it's a Steve's eye. Like I have no doubt that
Yeah.
you guys work together to craft the But like Steve's got a thumbprint when it comes to his
And
work.
the way he works, like, fires me up so much, right? So, like, Stevie and I, again, we were up, like, all night,
Mm-hmm.
like, an entire week, every night, going, like, every single camera angle. We're like, "Dude, why don't we do this and do this?" And some didn't work out because, like, Stevie and I, like Stevie's like me, we need, like, a John to, like, rein us in. We're both like, "Yeah, and then we can do this and this and this and this."
Yeah,
And then,
yeah.
like, John's like, "Dude, what? Like, we need, like, a crane," and,
Well,
like,
how many days did you film?
So it was slated for 2 days.
Did you guys shot list and storyboard, or was it
we
kind of
we
tacit understanding of here's what we're thinking?
Yeah, so you know Stevie, right? And then
Well,
you
that's
can,
why I'm asking.
and you can kind of get my vibe. We started shot listing every single thing, and then it turned into like us just being like, "Let's just roll, bro! Like we're on the same page. Like let's just rip it, you know?"
Yeah.
And
You guys
did.
were probably making John pull his hair out.
For
I
sure,
have
yeah.
no doubt.
But that's why we need John, right?
Yeah.
He's like a great mediator for Steve and I, who just go buck wild on like every thought that we have,
Yep.
and continue to like amp each other up one step further and further, you know?
Oh, that's a great idea. We could go way bigger with that shot.
100%.
Yeah.
And like, and then Stevie just like, we had not worked together before, and that dude was just busting my balls, and I was throwing it right back at him. He's like, "Oh, you think you can like send it in this take?" I was like, "Bro, I'm gonna send it." Like,
How'd you guys link up?
Through John.
I forget how John and him linked up? I guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no. I had
I'm
seen
always
a bunch
curious.
of Steve's work always, because like in the local festivals and stuff, and I kept seeing like everything that was just like the quality is just out of this world. And I was like, "Who is this?" And it was always Steve.
Yeah.
Like it was always Steve. I'm like, "Dude, what the fuck?" So
yeah, he's
I
great at
called
what he
John and I
does.
was like, "Yo, do you know Steve Schloss?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, I can get in touch with him." I was like,
Mhm.
"I need him on this." I was like, I need him to do it." I was like, "I don't know him." I was like, "But I think we'll vibe well together." And dude, second I talked to Steve, I was like, "Yeah, it's my guy.
Yeah.
He's my guy."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you guys had a good working relationship.
We did, man. Yeah, like I said, like we bust each other a lot. Like we're hard on each other. We push each other. And then at the end of the day, like I think it comes out like really cool, you know. But point being, I think we can tell the story through camera angles and timing and pacing. And you don't need to be so over the top. Like my whole thing with Solus and with the hit you probably saw was like, can I tell? I wanted to push the actors. I want to push the talent. And the way you do that is by getting rid of your wide shots, right?
Mm.
For the most part, like the safest scene is me and you sitting here with the camera way back there.
Yeah.
It's like, can you act if I have the camera just on your eyes? Can you tell the story if I have a camera just on your mouth? Or if I pull some like weird kind of side angle on you, can you still tell that story? How do you do that? How do we push each other every time we're making a film to not just make a movie, but to like get to the next level? Like, what's the next level after Solus now? And that's what I'm trying to find myself. Is like, where do I go from here now that I can push it to a different level, right? And Stevie was super cool and understanding of like what I was trying to do, and was like, "Dude, here's how we do it. Like, we're gonna capture a shot on Jordan that's like from chest to nose."
I wanted to ask you about that. I'm so happy this is coming up naturally because
Yeah,
that's a bold second or third shot to have in your movie.
it's the third shot. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And
How did that come about? Like, what? I guess we would maybe need to go into the psychology of the character,
which is 100%.
and I don't know if you're willing to go
No,
there,
it's fine.
or if you want to leave
we
it
can go
open
there,
to
dude. Like
interpretation.
I feel like I'm an open book, right? But you know, Solus again is
what does Solus mean? Is
alone.
that worth asking?
Yeah, it's alone.
Alone.
Because really, at the end of the day, that the whole thing is in this dude's head, right?
Of
He's
course.
alone, and he's having this like sort of psychological
Like breakdown. Yeah.
right? So what I wanted to show in the therapist's office is through his eyes. And we almost, we were debating showing me at all in some of this, right? We ended up kind of pulling back from that idea. Thanks, John. But we ended up kind of like pulling back and Stuart Valberg, you know Stu?
Yeah, I do.
So Stu too, he's like, "Dude, we gotta show you." Like I feel like Stu is Stevie's John. And so when we had like Stu and John, like me and Steve each had our like wranglers. Like if we were two tag teams, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stevie and I are like the high flyers, and Stu and John are like, "Let's stay on the mat for a minute," you know?
Yeah.
But there's like a lot of Stu dudes invaluable. I mean, I know working with him, like that dude.
So I wish I could say that I've worked with him in like a creative capacity.
Yeah.
I used to work with him. We've worked on either a few movies or a few shows together. He was in the role of AD.
Yeah.
And again, at the time, I was just a PA.
Yeah, for sure.
So our careers, I started out like kind of seeing how he operates, and then we disappeared or we disappeared to each other.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, like within the past year or two, I've seen that he's been working on all of these local projects
Yeah.
with people that I've kind of curated relationships.
Yeah.
So anyway, I understand how invaluable he is to set, but I have been
Yeah.
yet to witness it on like these personal
I
projects.
think like even more than just like his knowledge of like being a legitimate AD for like some major things, right? But like his knowledge of like script and like he's one of the people I say like, dude, I will, if he lets me, I send Stu everything. I'm like, Stu, what do you think on this? Because I just really trust his opinion. Now, even with Stevie, it's like I didn't go with every choice they gave me. We had some
of
moments where we like
course.
butt heads, and like moments where we each had a different vision of a thing, right? And we ended up just going with whatever worked best for the film. But like, I always value their opinion, whether I agree with it or not. And so Stu, a lot of times would be like, Stevie and I would have just this like wild shot idea of like, we're not even going to show him in this because it's his dream. So like in your dreams, you never really see yourself. And then Stu's like, that's cool, but like we need to see his face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like at some point,
And Stewart's got a great temperament too, where it's like
The
he can deliver you the hard
best.
truth, and you're like,
yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, the best. And you're just like, you know what? I know Stu got me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The same with John, right? Like they got this
Yeah.
like temperament of like, okay, good idea. We do have to show his face though. You know what I mean? Like, so,
Yeah.
but yeah, so the shot list in the therapist's office particularly was like through the lens of this dude having like a psychological break. Like what would he be looking at, right? So I wanted to make it very weird that he's never really fully paying attention. So we have like some weird shots of like her hands on the chair. We have some weird shots like panning up, like he's getting caught kind of like looking from her chest to her mouth and like different things. And like I wanted that whole thing, especially early on, I wanted people to feel claustrophobic, uncomfortable, that something was about to happen, right?
It also helps that you have him spiking the lens.
100%. And that's Stevie though. You know what I mean?
No, that's so good.
Yeah.
I love when I mean
Yeah.
it needs to be done right.
Yeah.
It needs to be done right, but I do love when directors
and that's the thing
do
is like
that.
when you do stuff like that, it has to be done intentionally, and it has to be done very like precisely.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But when it is, I think it comes out really cool.
It really works to put the audience immediately in the character's perspective.
For sure.
And also with that third shot, if I may,
Yeah, for sure.
I think that it does a really nice job of setting up, and maybe you didn't intend this.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just what I took from it.
Sure.
But I think it's in there. With that third shot, kind of, cut off from the nose to the navel.
Yeah.
It really does a good job at setting up like a sexual undercurrent.
Well,
Like,
that's what I mean.
this-
Like, what is he looking at, right? Like, what is he feeling, right? And it's
Yeah.
this weird sort of like he's a little bit deviant type of feeling.
Yes.
Yeah, that's exactly the
I
intention of it.
think
Yeah.
that does a really good job
Yeah.
of it. And then obviously as it, kind of transpires,
You
you're
find
like,
out that that's
"Ah."
accurate. Yeah, and I think we tried to keep it in that tone, but like off the nose of doing just a shot on like breasts, right? It's like let's
Mhm.
make it this weird, like he's trying to like look up at her and
Mhm.
like pay attention to her, but he's really not. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like one of those moments of like he's not meeting her eyes. He's looking like just south of her eyes. It gives this weird, uncomfortable feeling. I think whether you're a guy or a girl, it's like, I don't like the way this makes me feel. You know?
There's something, I'm sure you've seen it probably a long time ago, but I don't know how they do it, but there's some scientific thing where it's like it maps out the science of an image and where an audience's eyes
Yeah.
go, and they do it with like a bunch of different movies. But I feel like I would love to set
That'd
up
be cool. Yeah,
something
that'd be so cool.
for this, because I
Yeah.
feel like there are so many different, like, I wonder if people are trying to avoid looking there.
Yeah.
And like they're looking at the chin or
100%, right?
blah, 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 blah.
And some of the feedback we had gotten in through like the first cuts of it were like they're like, no, we want to like crop it in or widen it out. And I was like, no, that's what I want. Like I want you to not like this shot.
Yeah.
Like so the more people who were telling me that, the more I was going, we got the right shot. Like
You
this
did
is
the
the
right
exact
thing.
shot because this is exactly what I wanted. Nobody was like, oh, I really like that shot. Like everyone was like, I don't know, I don't like this shot. And I was like, good.
Super
good.
uncomfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Good. And I did that with the pacing too, right? Like I kept saying, like, let's slow this down to make it awkwardly, weirdly slow to where the audience is like, please say something. Like I want you to answer here.
Mhm.
I don't like the weirdness of the no responses going back and forth. And so when we were shooting, we did that. I still didn't feel like we had enough time. So I started pulling in footage when we were rolling and we weren't even shooting. So there's some footage in there from where we're just rolling before we started acting that I built into there because I was like, I want more time even than we had
Oh,
to
really?
build this like awkwardness. So like, we had somewhere it's like rolling, and I'm like, use this, and so we'd cut the first AD out. We'd use the rolling footage and we'd roll it into the length that I had already built in there
Oh,
in
cool.
those first few scenes. Because I
Yeah.
wanted it to pick up pace as it goes.
Yep.
But early on, that first scene, if you watch it and you kind of like sit in it, I wanted people to be like, why is he not talking here? Like, what the, like we stay on the back of my head. And like, it's just like, what?
It's a good shot.
It's a cool shot.
Yeah.
But I want to stay on it like intentionally, uncomfortably long. So people are like, is the movie gonna like what's happening here? Then it's
Okay.
like, then it talks. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like right at that moment of people going like, it's like, oh, okay, there it is. Oh, okay, there it is again. You know what I mean? It's like this wave of like wanting you to just please fucking say something. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I really liked it.
Cool,
I
thank you.
did.
Thank you.
Now I was curious.
Yeah.
It was specifically about post-production.
Yeah.
I mean, for such a quick turnaround to get it into the dead of winter,
Yeah.
did it come out how you wanted it? And did it, after it premiered, is it the kind of thing that you planned or are currently or planning to eventually go back and like tinker with it?
Yeah, for
or
sure.
like, is the post-production process very similar to your writing process where it's like, no, I got the idea on paper, I'm good?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, right? So and it's kind of a loaded question, right?
I don't mean for it to be.
No, in a good
I don't
way.
mean for it to be.
In a good way. It's just it came out. So Leanne Silva edited this, and she edits in a very different workflow than a lot of editors too.
How
And
so? What do you mean?
as in like pulling audio in right away, getting scenes
Really?
together. Yeah, it's a really interesting process watching her kind of like edit the way she does, and it was phenomenal. It also took, John, myself, James Labonte came in on a couple sessions. Devin Petrie, the actress, came in on a couple sessions and helped us like pull stuff. But like again, the work of like we worked all night every night for like 3 weeks without break, like exhaustive amount of work to get it to where we got it. We got it to where I wanted it for that festival. And
Sure,
I'm calling
okay.
that sort of like the one you saw, I'm calling that sort of like the dead of winter cut, right?
Yep.
Now we're gonna go back in and like kind of tinker with it to put it into other festivals, right? Do I think there's like major overhauls that I'm gonna do? No. But like I want to work on some colorization. I want to like maybe put it in the hands of even like a second editor and see if they give me something back different. Then I'm like, oh, this is a cool take. Cause like I sat in on this entire process and I was like this and this and this, and I was pulling all sorts of stuff in. I kind of love giving it to an editor and giving it like the, Stevie Schloss cut, like whatever he sends back. And it's like, oh, cool. It's a different concept than I ever even like looked at. I think there's some merit to that sometimes too. That's future, right?
Sure.
Right now we're working on it, and we're going to get it colorized a little bit better. Do some stuff with the audio because there were some audio issues in there, right? So clean up the audio a little bit.
I'm going back to the loaded question. None of that was to suggest that you need to touch it. I hope you understand.
No,
that.
for sure. No, I do.
But
We are is my point. So like I think there's a chance to get this into some like larger festivals, like some big festivals, right? I think it's quality wise is that good. I think we just have to get it to a place where I feel comfortable putting it out to like Toronto or something and seeing if it gets in there. You know what I mean?
Do you have experience with the festivals before? Like, did you do
so like we
the
did
hit?
we did a festival
rounds?
run. Yeah, so I told you it won the award at Biff.
Oh, I'm sorry, you did. Yes.
But the hit ended up taking home like a boatload of awards. It won like I think like 15 awards at different festivals across, kind of globally. I went on, Film Freeway and submitted it. My process
Film Freeway.
Yeah, dude. My process with Hollywoot and
you can get lost in Film Freeway.
I know,
so
dude.
many festivals.
You know what I think you should, if you are a filmmaker, dude, like start local, because like that's where you're gonna make your biggest bang for your buck. You want to go to places where you can, your film gets in and you can network with other filmmakers in this area, right? Like, everyone gets like caught up, like, oh, I'm gonna submit it in like Paris and Dublin. It's like, well, are you really gonna go there? Like, is it really even worth it playing there? Like, maybe, I don't know. I think like start in New England. Like there's some awesome festivals right here, right?
Yeah.
From Boston International to Boston Film Festival. Dead of Winter was an awesome festival if you have like horror stuff.
Yep.
But then you got like, Rhode Island, you got Mystic, you got New Hampshire. Those are all like, I think Rhode Island and New Hampshire are freaking like Oscar qualifiers if you hit certain categories.
Yeah, the RIFF.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like those are big festivals to get in, and you're in New England. You're going to meet other New England filmmakers.
And the Block Island Film
Block
Festival
Island,
is
yeah,
Oscar.
it is, and that's an awesome like, dude, who doesn't want your film to play on Block Island like in the middle of summer? You know what I mean?
Seriously.
So yeah, you can definitely get lost, but like I think like narrow it down. My kind of with The Hit and with Hollywoot, the TV pilot that I wrote.
Which
shout out Hollywoot.
Zoom in on that.
Yeah, give me a little zoom in.
Which I still want to talk about.
We will, yeah,
even
for
touched
sure.
on
Yeah.
yet.
But my theory with festival was like, I'm going to put it in some sort of like lower tier festivals where I think it can get in and maybe even win some awards, some like mid upper level, and then try and shoot for some like higher level. You know what I mean? So I always try and filter, you know what I mean? Like 5, 10, 15, whatever, how you ever do it, you know?
Yeah.
But I try and tier them up, you know?
If I may.
You may.
You don't have to answer this.
It's your show.
But I do like to know about this because I find there's value to filmmakers of all different levels listening to this. Budget. I love to ask. I love to talk about budget, but we don't have to. We can move on from that. Like, what was The Hit's budget? What was Solus's budget?
Yeah, well, I think budget is all relative too, right? So for Hollywoot and The Hit, I paid out of pocket for both those, right?
Sure.
So I'd rather keep those in my own pocket. This is in case my wife's listening. But like, you know, short film, I think again goes back to what can you make? That's why I joked around earlier. I was like, if you're making a film, don't open it in an airplane, right? Like, unless you have a big budget, right? With Solus, and John knows the numbers better than I do because that's kind of the side of the house he works on.
Yeah.
But we had a budget, and it was the first film that we made that we had fully funded by other financiers, right?
Doesn't that feel good and
felt
also kind of nerve-wracking?
Yeah, it felt great and super nerve-wracking because then it's like we have to deliver on their expectations, right? But what John and I did is we invited them to be a part of editing, so like they could come down to the office and watch us edit and like enjoy an editing session. We tried to keep them super informed in the process with like newsletters and texts and emails, but also on set. And I don't know if John talked about this, but we set up like a VIP lounge for everybody.
I don't know if we talked about that.
So we had a separate room in the mansion where we shot, where we set up like a big screen TV. We had my wife owns a charcuterie company, so she did like giant charcuterie boards.
Oh, awesome.
We had like waters and drinks. And we had our key PA be like a VIP liaison.
So you really made the investors feel like they're part of the process. Well,
like,
not even feel, but you made them part of the process.
For sure. Because like on a short film, really there's like, you know, you can't go promising them an ROI because it just doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
So what you can promise them is an experience. And it's like, hey, you know, instead of taking your $1,000 and, you know, going to Maine for a week or whatever you do, like take your $1,000 and come be a part of an awesome thing filming locally and get your business name out there. And we advertised the crap out of them. Like I've been on a bunch of radio shows. We were on the cover of Worcester Magazine. We were in Pulse Magazine.
Oh, awesome.
We did the Film Stock podcast, John and I both.
Yep.
But, you know, so the promise is like, go on, like talk about the people that invest in you. Talk about the people that help you make what you do possible, right? And so, yeah, we had like the VIP lounge. We had a liaison that like, we rented the municipal parking lot across the street from our building. And so we had parking for them. And then the liaison would meet them and bring them in and would take them on set in little groups so they could like talk to us. And I could show them like, hey, here's what's going on. Here's how we're filming. They'd be like, whoa, I never saw this stuff, you know?
Sure.
And then when they're in their little room, like, they were networking with each other. And like, there was a lot of connections that were made. Cause like one guy's like, oh, you know, I'm a real estate agent. The other guy's like, oh, I'm a mortgage broker. So they were making connections and they got to watch the film being made in a room. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was an experience.
It's so in the film industry, I'm a locations manager.
Cool.
And
might need you.
Yeah. Hit me up. Looking for work.
Yeah.
But that was always something that was very cool to me, kind of the experience you're describing with the financiers. Yeah. I always love doing that with like, if you're shooting at somebody's home, if you're shooting at somebody's business, is like as best you can, like, yeah, technically we're paying for your home. Yeah. Technically we're paying for your business. So like we own it for the day or the week that we're filming there. But generally these people have no experience with the movies. So if I can get them close to monitor, if I can like,
it's like
show
the coolest thing.
Yeah. I'm talking about them like they're little babies. They're like 5-year-olds.
You
but
know
it's
what
like
though? It's like
seeing their eyes light up.
I think going back to kind of like what we were saying, like if about making film, like I think filmmaking is a very mysterious thing to people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool to like, dude, it's like going to like a zoo or something. It's like, hey, you want to come see the tiger? Like,
Yeah.
look at this.
Pull back the curtain
Yeah,
and kind of get to
yeah,
see something you wouldn't usually.
yeah, and take the time to show them and like talk to them about it. And yeah, I think that's part of like the sustainability of it all too, right? Like, yeah. So point is, we had a budget, but then we had a blizzard happen in the middle of day 2 of shooting, so we had to push to a third day.
That's right. John had brought this up.
Which then
you guys made the right call, by the way.
I think so. I think so.
Having heard the story from John's
Yeah.
perspective and having been in similar situations as a producer myself, you guys made the right call.
I think so, dude, and I likened it. Dude, you actually loved this. So I called everyone into the production room. So it was myself, James Labonte, who was first AD,
Yep.
Stevie, Stu,
Yep.
and John. And I said, look, you're gonna love this. I said, I feel right now a little bit like I'm the captain of the Titanic. I said, we have no right move here. I said, but I think the lesser of two evils is to pause for tonight, wait till it clears up, and get to New York a day late, as opposed to steaming through unknown waters in a storm and having something bad happen.
Yeah.
So I did it. I made a Titanic reference, but I genuinely felt like that. It's like, look, as the sort of guy with everybody on your watch that's relying on you, you have to take care of your people. And if that means we have to go raise another $3,000, we'll go do that at a different time. But right now, the choice is let's take care of our team first.
Get everyone home safe, or
safe.
give them an opportunity to
get everyone home safe. And, movie is secondary to people.
Yeah.
Right? Always. And I think that John's a big believer in that too. And I think we have a very similar outlook on life and on film, but like it's treat your crew well, make sure everyone feels safe and comfortable to be able to create, even in some like tense, maybe like awkward situations, and let people know when you're filming and when you're not filming that you care about them as people. Like stay in touch with your cast and crew. Talk to your investors or your financiers or whatever you want to call them. Talk to them when you're not asking for money. Just see how they're doing. Like, really care about them as people, because at the end of the day, at the level we're all at, like most of the time, your investors aren't investing because it's gonna buy them a yacht. They're investing in you because they believe in you as a person or they like you as a person, and I think you have to replicate that back to them. Just to be a real person. So that's why we did that. But the point is, we ended up having to raise, I think, another, $3,000 after or something
to kind of finance the next day, complete the project.
Yeah, to complete the project, which we did. And that was a little bit of like, chasing, right? It's like, oh man, I don't want to be. You never want to be behind.
No,
but that is the reality of it. Sometimes you end up behind. I also think this was a very niche situation because we're making a movie for a particular thing that was in a month, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's a good point.
Whereas like with our next stuff, it's like, let's wait till we have all the money before we even get into pre-production, which is how you should do it, right?
Yeah.
It's like, we should be in development until we have the budget, or at least enough of the budget to get into pre-production. And then we can keep moving forward. But this particular situation, we were kind of like behind the 8 ball, even at the idea. You know what I mean?
Kind of gun to head.
Yeah, but we made it happen. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, what about the cast? Are these all local actors? Did you go through? I mean, obviously you're in it. Tommy Dwyer. But did you know these folks, or did you go, do a casting call?
Yeah, no, I knew everybody in this.
Cool.
So Jordan,
because they were all fun to watch.
Jordan Toffolo, I think we're lucky. Like the majority of our crew, all the way to like first AC, they're all filmmakers. Like Stevie, Stewart, Jordan. Jordan Toffolo is a awesome director in her own right. She's a super talented actress. James Labonte, like he had a couple lines in this. He's a director. He's directed a feature. He has a feature coming out. And he's been in SAG for a long time. Like, so we were lucky, I think, a little bit, but we used everybody. Like I said, I pulled in people that I knew and that I trusted because it was under the gun. It had to be done the right way. So I knew everybody involved in this. But at the end of the day, like I said, like we had probably 9 or 10 people on this crew that are all legitimate filmmakers that were all in line to like make a really good thing, you know?
So they know what's going on. They know,
Yeah,
they
you
know
know?
the drill.
Exactly, exactly. Like when you have like, a director pulling focus for you, it's like that's really awesome. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
um, and then yeah, Jordan Toffolo, who played Dr. Bates, I had worked with her, so we both had films in Biff last year,
Mhm.
and the founder Patrick Jerome hired her and I to be the leads in his movie. So he's working on a feature right now also that we shot sort of like a proof of concept for.
Oh, cool.
So Jordan played my wife in that, and I had always like I'd always looked up to Jordan like as a local filmmaker because I had seen the stuff she was doing with like Lenny Clark and Steve Sweeney and just Frank Santarelli. Like she was working with just like these awesome people, and like I was like, man, who is this girl, Jordan? And she went to Chris Neville, my acting coach. Like she was sort of like the poster child for Chris Neville, right?
Mhm.
And I was like, man, I really like. So when I got the call to like work with her, I was like, absolutely. And I met her, and she's just awesome. She's like
Mm.
the nicest, funniest person you'll ever meet. So then when I got another opportunity to make a film, I was like, I got to get Jordan in this. You know what I mean? And then Devin, who plays Vera, she's a model, like local model. I mean, she's been on Times Square billboards. She's been in commercials. She's on the cover of a game called Awkward Hugs. If you go to like Target, you'll find her on the
Okay.
cover of that board game.
Cool.
Another just like super talented person that she played my girlfriend in Hollywoot. And then I just know like I can just trust her. And I know when I'm sitting opposite her, like it just works. So
Mhm.
yeah,
You got
so
a
I
nice
told her
shorthand,
for
comfortability.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. So this is now the perfect opportunity to naturally segue.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell everybody, what is Hollywoot? How did it come about?
Yeah.
What's the status?
Yeah. So Hollywoot is a concept I came up with like maybe 16, 17 years ago at this point, right? It was originally called like Wicked Cool Kids, but it
Mhm.
was about just Worcester guys, right? And it sort of evolved over the years, and I started writing this TV pilot idea. Um, and the idea of the pilot was like, wouldn't it be funny if there was like Entourage, but like in a crappy city that wasn't like LA? Like what kind of entourage stuff would you do in Worcester? So started writing this idea, and then I brought in Orlando Baxter, who's a local comedian. He opens for like, big names like Whitney Cummings, Isla Schlesinger. He's touring around nationally.
Awesome.
Um, and I was like, yo, Orlando, dude, I have this idea. Do you want to help me like write this TV pilot? So he's like, yeah. So he came in and we wrote the pilot. And then we cast it with like all our comedian buddies. So like Jimmy Cash, Brian Gilwaukee, Sean Conley, like all Worcester comics. Devin played my girlfriend in it. And we shot the pilot. And we premiered it. We premiered it at I'm trying to think, it was like 3 years ago now. So we premiered it like 3 years ago. And it had a great ovation. And then looking back at it, I was like, I really think there should be a feature film. Like I was like,
Mm.
I think the way to tell this story is like through the lens of a movie. I don't think it's through the lens of like a TV sitcom type thing. Um, so I went back to the drawing board and I wrote it into a feature
Is you how
on
really?
my own.
Tell me
Yeah.
more. Tell me more.
Yeah, so I just, like, adapted the world, and the pilot came out, like, a little slapsticky and stuff. I was like, I would rather dive into, like, the dark comedy of it and
Yep.
kind of avoid the sitcom aspect of, like, everyone has their own sort of storylines and stuff. I wanted to focus in on the main character, Tommy McCann, who goes out to LA, gets caught, in a scandal, right? Gets blackballed out of Hollywood. He gets caught, I told you, he gets caught peeing in public at a McDonald's play place, and everyone calls him the McPedophile, right?
Yeah.
And so now he's back in Worcester as the McPedophile, and he's like, "How do I rebuild my life from here?" But I went down like the dark road of it. Like, have you ever seen Baskets with like?
Yes.
So I was like, I want
Yeah.
like the more Baskets version of it. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like let's make this like dark and depressing, but funny in how bad it is for this guy.
Mm.
So I rewrote it again into a couple things, and then when I had the draft I liked, I sent it to John. I was like, "Dude, what do you think?" And he's like, "Yo, I think we can make this happen."
Mhm.
So we started kind of like getting on the horn and making some calls, and I would say it's in development right now.
Not
Um,
technically pre-production,
now it's
but
still in
in
development
development.
because some other stuff has pushed it back. So we have a bunch of projects kind of coming up that have kind of put that a little further down the timeline on our slate of films.
And
But
when you
like
say we've got some projects, like you and John,
over,
gonna continue producing partners?
yeah.
Yeah.
So over the past, kind of since he's been on, I think
Yeah.
we've had some opportunities arise. I'm working right now. This is like breaking news. I've not announced any of this to anybody. So you're getting Film Stock Podcast. Who knows, right? Who knows
Yeah,
what's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
come out? But Film Stock Podcast,
We've got the
technically,
exclusive scoop.
you do in the moment, right? Like, let's call somebody. In the moment, this is the first time I'm saying this to anybody.
Yeah, okay, let's hear it. What do you got?
So I'm working with an awesome nonprofit organization to do a documentary about fire department in Massachusetts.
That's badass.
So it's going to be so cool.
I like that idea already.
My dad and all my uncles were Worcester firefighters for their entire careers, and I think there's really a need to show what we're going to show, which is the conditions of like firehouses across Massachusetts, right? And so
just give me a sneak peek. I mean, by the way you said that, are they not well funded, in disrepair, or is it?
Yeah, some.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to sort of explore that, right? Which is what the crux of this film is going to be, is exploring maybe like why some communities are well funded and others aren't. Where is the money? And like these guys are our heroes, right? Like these guys are the people that we look up to, that, little kids grow up and they want to be firefighters, except for a firefighter's kid who wanted to be an actor.
Yeah,
but like, because I saw the conditions of the firehouses. But like, these guys live there, and some of these firehouses are places you wouldn't put criminals in. Like they'd be like,
Really?
this is not humane enough, right?
Really?
And then we, watch them at the parades and, throw flowers at them and line up for their funerals, right? So it's like, I'm really interested to dive in that. It's a personal story for me. It's something that I take very seriously. And it's something that John and I are going to, start working on very soon.
Wow.
So I'm super excited about that. And then, dude, super excited to announce on the Film Stock podcast. It's funny. So I called Stevie on my way down.
Yep.
To tell him this, and he didn't pick up. And then he called me when I was in here.
And he's like, "You're going to see those assholes?"
Well, he doesn't know. He doesn't know I'm here because he didn't pick the phone up. But I was going to tell Stevie about this because I want Stevie with me. But so he doesn't know. So he's going to hear it here. I'm going to call him when I leave. But I'm going to be like, dude, the announcement's being made, bro. I got hired to direct my first feature. So
hell yeah,
yeah. The story is amazing. So that kind of pushed Hollywoot back a little, because that's what Hollywoot was going to be, my first feature that I was gonna do, and we were gonna really push.
Congratulations!
Yeah, thank you, man. I'm super excited.
Are you able to tell any of the details? Or are you only able to say that?
I think we can get into a little bit. I'm working with a group of guys from Staten Island.
Okay.
That have a very, very cool story. It's going to be a, dude. I'm trying to even liken it. It's a dark, kind of like dark crime drama.
Okay.
Based on loosely true events.
Okay.
Sort of a like, let's say like it's sort of like a PCU meets The Sopranos.
Okay.
Where a group of college kids get intertwined with the New York Mafia, and sort of the fallout from that happening in a small school in upstate New York.
Cool. Are you going to be
Loosely.
filming it in New York, or is this going to be?
We're going to be filming it in Massachusetts.
Love that.
Maybe need some locations.
Yeah. I might have a couple.
Yeah. We're talking to some like really like super cool actors that I can't say.
Yeah, of course. I don't want to get you into trouble or anything.
Pretty amazing stuff, and really excited about it. So right now we're just sort of like revising the script. They also had written it as a TV pilot. We got connected through mutual connections, knowing what I was doing and knowing what they were doing. We were connected. I say, hey man, this is a movie. This isn't a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
We can do way more with a movie with this idea. And they were like, yeah, we've talked to some like pretty big, producers and actors, and they kind of have all told us the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, thank God. And
yeah, I'm not the only one here.
So we're in the middle of raising the budget right now and reworking the script right now, and hopefully shooting late this summer up in Massachusetts.
That's
Stay
awesome.
tuned. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Cowbirds.
Is that the name of it?
Yeah.
Cowbirds.
Yeah. You know what a cowbird is?
No.
Cowbird is a bird.
Should I? Is this like common?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, are you a bird guy? I don't know. I'm not a bird guy.
Well, we can get into that later, but go ahead.
Yeah. I actually hate birds.
I'm becoming fascinated with
Are
them.
you?
Yeah.
I'm terrified of anything that can get that much leverage on me. Like, I don't like stuff dive bombing me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I understand that. I think I'm more fascinated by their communications, but that's not this podcast. We can get into that
So
another
a
time.
cowbird doesn't crow like any other bird, but a cowbird it's a parasitic bird.
Okay.
So they take over another bird's nest and then like sit on the eggs, and then those eggs become cowbirds. So like they can like land in any type of nest and turn that type of bird into a cowbird, and then that bird's like this like weird like offspring of a bird. They're like a parasitic bird. It's absolutely wild.
What?
Yeah, so they'll like fly into like a robin's nest, boot the robins out, and then turn the robins into cowbirds.
And now I'm fascinated. How does this tie in with? I don't know if I can ask this. That's the whole point of the movie. Like, how does this tie?
You'll find out.
Oh, goddamn.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great place to leave it
Yeah,
then.
it's just like Insidious. Like you think about like college kids getting like, it's an Insidious thing,
Yeah. That's
very interesting. And
awesome.
I'm super pumped about that. And
I'm
then,
very excited for you. That's not a small thing.
No, and then we're working on turning Solus into something also.
Cool.
So I'm working on, and again, this is going to be push Hollywoot back a little bit potentially, but working on doing like a low budget feature trilogy.
Mm.
So I think there's a market for a horror trilogy. I want to do something along the lines of in the world of like Tales from the Crypt, Twilight Zone type thing. So what I'm going to do is 3 shorts that compile one feature.
Yep.
To turn it into sort of an anthology. I'm going to do 3 different types of horror. So we've already done Solus, which is like that sort of psychological theater of the mind. The next one I'm doing is called Dead End. It's going to be like an absolute bloodbath, like a Tarantino-esque Stevie Schloss special.
Yeah.
Writer's block. You know what I mean? Esque movie.
Yep.
And then
I still have blood in my ears from that. Like, it just keeps getting knocked out every few weeks.
Dude, I was talking to Stevie about this. I was like, you think we can like do this? He's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
So then we're doing that. And then the third one's going to be sort of like the magnum opus, like true horror movie.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's where
so you've got your hands in a lot of creative endeavors right now.
We're busy. And then John has a million things happening too. So.
Well, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm very excited for you. That's a huge opportunity. I really appreciate you coming on to the podcast. Yeah. I hope this has been a fun time.
Dude, I love
for
it,
you.
man. When am I coming back, man? I want to pick 3 more movies. 3's not enough.
Dude, this is a revolving door. So anytime you want to come back, you're more than welcome. Yeah. And keep us up to date.
We got to bring like the whole crew in. We got to get like a couch over here and then like bring.
We're gonna have to like get a couch over here, or like fold out chairs or something, and then more cameras. We'll turn small space, but we'll make it work.
Wouldn't that be fun? Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, we've even got it's kind of gotten knocked out of place, but we've got a projector up there and a projector screen. Like we could have a whole.
Why don't we bring you guys on set, bro? Like, why don't we do something like on set, dude? If we, when we get rolling. Why don't you guys come up to us and we'll do something? That'd be fun. Like you know what I mean?
Yeah. We're down for anything. Seriously. We went to what was it? Summer Dance Film Festival.
Cool.
Which was Gabby Rossum.
Yeah.
And we did the live Q&A there. That turned into a whole podcast.
Yeah.
So we're open to anything.
Because that'd be so cool. Yeah, I'm thinking wheels are spinning.
Yeah.
But I'm all in on film. I'm in on you guys, man. Yeah.
Appreciate
it.
Appreciate you being here. So Tommy, if anybody wants to find The Hit, if they want to find Solus, are they available right now?
No, because they're still in like the festival run, so they're up on private Vimeo.
All right, so if anybody wanted to find you and keep up to date with what you're doing, where do they look?
Just Tommy J Dwyer, JAYDWYER on Instagram. I'm the guy that looks like me.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you very much for being here,
man.
ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.